Today, our lives might look easier on the surface. We have modern conveniences, technology that saves time, and the world literally at our fingertips through our phones. Many dual-income households earn well above six figures, live in good communities, drive reliable cars, and raise their children with opportunities they never had growing up. Yet even with all this progress, something still feels off. Whether we're earning on our own or with a partner, many of us feel caught in a cycle of working harder and longer just to maintain what we already have. It's often not until much later that we begin to see the true costs of living in a system built on constant productivity. Stay tuned as we count down 6 of the real costs of trying to keep up in America today. Number 6, the cost of progress. We're earning more than we ever have been across generations. Back in 2000, the median household income was about $42,148, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. The official 2024 census data indicates it's now about $83,730. On paper, this looks like progress, yet most Americans don't feel better off. With inflation, the cost of $1 in 2000 is about $1.88 in today's terms, meaning that things are, on average, 1.88 times more expensive than they were back in 2000, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Price Index. What does this mean? It means that while we're technically earning more, we're struggling to keep up with both rising costs and shifting economic realities. As the population grows and more wealth concentrates at the top, prices have risen not only because of demand, but also because of structural factors such as supply shortages and economic policies. The essentials in life, such as housing, healthcare, and education, have skyrocketed in price, while non-essentials like technology and gadgets have become cheaper. We've advanced technologically and materially, but not necessarily in quality of life, depending on where we live in America and how early we were able to take advantage of economic opportunities such as affordable home prices. This is the cost and illusion of progress, a system that rewards productivity and gives us more income, more convenience, and more consumption if we're able to find good-paying jobs. But the costs of security, stability, and peace are so high now that for most of us, the path to the American dream needs to begin with 2 salaries, not 1. For the average American, dual incomes have become the new survival strategy and not an accurate symbol of wealth unless you're in the top 10%. Number 5, the cost of the new way of work. Long gone are the days that we can reliably work for the same employer for decades until retirement. Today, job security doesn't exist across most industries, especially with the rise of AI and automation. No matter how skilled or dedicated we are, there will always be forces beyond our control. What happens if we lose our job? What happens if our partner loses theirs? What happens if entire communities are out of work? As of November 2025, there have been over 1 million reported layoffs by US-based employers. About 1/3 of those laid off were federal employees. A leaked internal report suggests that Amazon is preparing to replace nearly 600,000 US workers with robots. Week after week, we're hearing more news of mass layoffs, hiring freezes, and restructurings across every sector. These headlines reinforce the same truth. No job, company, or career is safe anymore. The truth is, millions of Americans are already living in survival mode. For many of us, stability depends on maintaining a steady stream of income, which means being trapped on a path we can't dare to stray away from. We must work our jobs, whether we enjoy the work or not, whether we're healthy enough to do it or not, because the alternative is losing everything we've built and ending up on the streets. There is a real loss of autonomy here. When we must keep on grinding and proving our worth to our employers, the ability to truly relax and experience a moment of freedom becomes a luxury. Most of us silence our creative instincts, postpone our dreams, and keep running on the treadmill of work because that's what we must do to keep up with the demands of the busyness in our lives. The ability to choose a different path, whether it's a career shift, a new town, or even taking time off for rest, has truly become a privilege. This leads us to our next real cost of trying to keep up in America. Number 4, the cost of disappearing relationships. As work consumes our lives, our relationships become collateral damage. The more hours we work to sustain our lives, it seems like the less time we have to actually live our lives. A 2024 Gallup survey found that 3 in 10 Americans say they have no close friends, and the U.S. Surgeon General has declared loneliness a national public health epidemic. When everyone is consumed by work, the emotional bonds that hold us together dissolve. Relationships become shallow. Conversations grow shorter and transactional. We talk to our partners about schedules and logistics instead of our dreams. Our friendships are maintained in group chats and quick comments and DMs on social media. We spend more time with coworkers than anyone else, but many of us don't even like the people we work with. We have so-called connections, but connections aren't real unless they actually have depth and substance. Few feel this strain more than mothers. After a full work day, many return home to start another job, cooking dinner, helping with homework, washing dishes, and preparing for the next day. This second shift, as sociologists call it, leaves little time to recharge or reconnect with themselves. Over time, that exhaustion can harden into resentment, burnout, or even divorce. In the effort to hold everything together, many women lose touch with their own needs entirely. For many men, it's a question of masculinity, of not being able to find work or be able to sufficiently provide for themselves and their loved ones. When a man's identity is built around his ability to provide, his failures or perceived failures can take a toll on his sense of worth. Some men may withdraw, fall down online rabbit holes, believe in conspiracies, and find other ways to cope. Others may take their frustration out on the people they love most. Like women, men are hurt too, just in a different way. Outside the home, the village that once supported us has been fading for decades. We barely have time to check in on each other anymore. By the time we stop working, most of us are too tired to put in the effort and time it requires to build and deepen our relationships, so we scroll on our phones or stream shows instead. Number 3. The cost of exhaustion. We've normalized exhaustion as the price of living in our modern society. Being tired has become a badge of honor, proof that we're working hard enough to deserve a good life and success. But behind the doors, millions of Americans are breaking down physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually just to keep up. According to the American Psychological Association's Stress in America 2023 report, nearly 1 in 4 adults describe their stress levels as extreme, and the majority say it affects both their mental and physical health. The CDC reports that about 1/3 of U.S. adults get fewer than 7 hours of sleep each night, which is a habit linked to higher risks of heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke, obesity, depression, and anxiety. Chronic stress and sleep deprivation now contribute to some of the leading causes of death in the country. Modern life has conditioned us to sit longer, move less, and stay plugged in. The average American spends more than 8 hours a day sitting. After long commutes and tiring workdays, most of us feel too drained to cook, move, or even step outside when we get home. According to the CDC, roughly 72% of Americans aren't meeting the recommended physical activity guidelines. It wouldn't be fair to suggest that we don't care about our health, however. After a long day or a long week, many of us simply don't have the energy left to take care of ourselves. We tell ourselves that once we're less busy, we'll rest. But due to life bills that need to be paid and social factors beyond our control, we can't seem to stop. Even when we try to slow down, something always seems to just pull us back in. Now, I don't want to sound so cynical because the American dream is still alive, but for most of us, the cost of realizing the dream is just a lot more expensive and requires an extraordinary amount of dedication, sacrifice, and luck. Sometimes that cost is our health and well-being. This leads us to the next cost. Number 2, the cost of mental health. Once the body begins to wear down, the mind follows. What starts as fatigue often becomes anxiety, burnout, or detachment from ourselves and our lives. According to the 2024 National Alliance on Mental Illness Workplace Mental Health poll, 52% of employees reported feeling burned out in the past year. Meanwhile, Mental Health America estimates that over 60 million adults, about 1 in 4 of us, are living with some form of mental illness in the country. Burnout has become one of the clearest consequences of a society where slowing down feels impossible. We tell ourselves that all this work and effort is temporary, that once we reach a certain milestone or get a little further ahead, we will be content and the stress will finally ease. But the truth is, most of us never reach that moment. The finish line keeps moving, and so does the accumulation of anxieties. We scroll on our phones to escape, self-soothe by eating junk food, and distract ourselves with consumption. Yet beneath the surface, we're emotionally exhausted and mentally checked out. Mental exhaustion doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's just the dull ache of going through the motions, of knowing we're not okay but feeling we have to keep going anyway. We've learned to live as if this level of stress is normal, that this is just the cost of adulthood and life in the real world. For many of us, this decline in our mental health happens slowly. We stay busy, chase deadlines, and tell ourselves the mental stress we feel is temporary. Therapy, once considered a stigma, has become essential, but millions of Americans still can't afford it or find the time for it. This isn't just a personal struggle, it's a reflection of the culture we've built, a system that rewards output over balance and productivity over well-being. We've learned to live constantly on, measuring our worth by what we produce instead of how we feel on the inside. One of the real costs of trying to keep up in America is losing the ability to feel genuine joy, peace, and satisfaction in our lives. But awareness is the first step toward change. The more we begin to recognize how deeply this pace affects us, the more we can start reclaiming small moments of stillness, rest, and connection. This leads us to the hardest truth of all. The very thing meant to give us security is taking the most valuable thing we have. Number 1, the cost of our most valuable resource. Work has become the foundation of American identity. For many, it is not only a source of income, but also the source of belonging, self-worth, self-concept, and meaning. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Americans now spend roughly a third of their lives working, which doesn't include the hours we spend commuting or checking emails during non-work hours. State of the Global Workplace 2023 report found that most employees feel emotionally detached from their jobs, with only about 31% saying they are engaged at work. Yet for most of us, losing a job would cause immediate financial hardship. This isn't anything new. Throughout human civilization, most humans have had to engage in some sort of labor in order to stay alive. This brings us to the most valuable currency of all, time. The great irony is that if we work hard enough, land the right jobs or clients, and get a little lucky with our opportunities and investments, we might finally accumulate enough to become financially free, which is arguably the ultimate American dream. We can live on our own terms without ever having to worry about money. But for the vast majority of us, work isn't a choice. It's a condition of keeping a roof over our heads. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development reports that the average American now works about 1,811 hours a year, far more than most workers in other advanced economies. We've built a culture that glorifies busyness, where rest feels unearned and idleness feels like failure. We tell ourselves it's all for freedom, but the more we chase it, the less free we actually become. Because we work so much, most of us don't even seem to realize what we're missing. Somewhere along the way, we confused being productive with being fulfilled and happy. It often takes leaving the country or experiencing a major wake-up call for us to question how we've been living and what it's all really for. The true cost of dedicating so much of our lives to our careers and trying to keep up in America is that we can easily forget what makes life worth living. Genuine connections, healthy relationships, being in community, volunteering, moments of gratitude, and simple activities that bring us joy. These are almost always the first things to go when we voluntarily or involuntarily center our lives around our jobs. In the end, the measure of a life well lived isn't how much we worked, but how deeply we experienced it, how present we were for the moments that money can't buy, the people we love, and the life that unfolded in between. We know we have to work to make a living. That's the reality here in America, but a growing number of us know that work shouldn't be our lives. Finding that balance, that middle ground between survival, existing, and truly living may be one of the greatest challenges we face in America today. If you want more grounded and honest takes on the state of America, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Every bit of support helps us reach more people and encourages us to keep on producing these videos. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you again soon.